I'm going to be sharing with you guys 7 common makeup mistakes that are actually making you look older.
One step forward, 2 steps backwards, yeah. Immature lover who don't use.
It's no secret that I've spent my entire 20s here online creating makeup tutorials and trying out various makeup techniques. And while there are certain makeup techniques out there that are meant to enhance our beauty and give us a more youthful and younger looking appearance, there are some common makeup mistakes that we are all doing in our day-to-day routines that are actually aging us and making us look older. So I'm gonna unpack it. I do find it to be crazy because over the past few months, I've definitely been doing my makeup a lot differently. I just realized what used to look good on me in my 20s no longer looks good on me now that I'm in my 30s. So I'm going to show you guys the makeup mistakes, and I'm also going to show you guys ways in which you can correct them to give you an overall younger and youthful looking appearance. So let's get into it. The first makeup mistake that I am guilty of myself back when I was in my 20s, I did this so much, and that is applying heavy foundation and heavy concealer combined. Now, here's the thing about foundation. It's really meant to even out your complexion overall. You're not meant to conceal everything on your face with foundation. That is what concealer is for. So when you get to applying a heavy foundation and a heavy concealer, it's just a cause for disaster. It may look good in photography and videography, but once you step outside, it's not something that really looks good on the skin. So let's go ahead and demonstrate. Today, I'm gonna be using the Saint Laurent All Hours foundation. This is a medium to buildable full coverage foundation. It looks gorgeous on the skin, but when you get to applying too much, it could be a cause for disaster. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this onto my brush. And on the right side of my face, I am gonna do the makeup mistakes, and then I'm gonna show you guys ways in which you can correct them on my left side. So you can definitely see this foundation has great coverage to it. It really is covering everything up, but we're gonna go a little heavy today because I really just want to demonstrate what this could do to your face and how it can age you if applied incorrectly. Another thing you don't wanna do is apply foundation underneath the eyes, because here's the thing, the skin underneath the eyes, it's already thin enough. You don't want to apply a heavy amount of foundation underneath your eyes on top of concealer. I already went in with about 1 layer of this foundation. I'm just gonna go in with an additional layer just to show you guys why applying heavy foundation and concealer is not the way to go. So on this side of my face, I have 2 layers of the All Hours foundation. I will definitely say that this is a really beautiful formula and foundation, so I kind of feel like it still looks good on the skin, but once you look up close and personal, it's definitely drawing a lot of attention to the texture here on my chin, and it's also starting to like itch a little bit because my face can't breathe. But no, seriously, it's just a little bit too much foundation. It definitely looks a little mask-like. I feel like if I applied something a little bit lighter to this side, it would just give me a really pretty kind of skin-like finish while evening out my complexion. On this side over here, I'm just gonna apply a very light layer of the All Hours foundation by Saint Laurent. This is a medium to full coverage foundation, but one thing I do want to say is that just because the foundation is medium to full coverage doesn't mean that you always need to take it there. A little bit goes a long way in this case, and I really just want to go in with a really nice even layer of this product. I went ahead and finished the foundation on this side here, and I definitely see a clear difference. On this side, my foundation looks very even. It looks like my complexion is really nice and fresh. You can still see my freckles coming through, and my skin still looks like skin, whereas this side over here, it looks a little heavier. So let's go ahead and move on to concealer, because I feel like that definitely plays a big role in all of this. I feel like back in the day, back in my 20s, we applied concealer very heavy underneath my eyes. Today, I'm gonna use the Forever Skin Correct Concealer by Dior, which is one of my favorites. I have the shade 1.5N, and this is what we used to do. So I'm just gonna demonstrate. We used to apply the concealer like this and down in a very big triangle. And to blend this out, I'm just gonna use a sponge, but this was such a thing. Back in my 20s, I used to really layer on and cake on the concealer, and I'm not gonna lie, it looked really good in videos and pictures and all of that, but that was because I was in my 20s. But now that I am in my 30s, I do have a little bit of fine lines near my eyes, and I often notice that when I'm done with my makeup and I kind of smile, it just gets really weird. So I'm just gonna put this on. I know it doesn't look too bad as of yet, but you'll definitely see the clear difference between both sides once I'm finished. So for this side over here, I'm gonna use that same Dior Skin Crack Concealer. And the big difference here is that I'm gonna apply a very minimal product, but I'm gonna apply it in a way that is a little bit more strategic. So I definitely just want to conceal my under eyes. I'm not really wanting to cover everything up, because here's the thing, once you start going a little bit too full coverage underneath the eyes, it tends to look very heavy and cakey and just not really the best. So I'm only gonna apply a little here and here. To blend out my concealer, I'm just gonna use a brush, just because I do feel like I have a little bit more control over where I'm buffing and blending out the concealer, as opposed to a sponge. I feel like I kind of just like spread it all over my face. So a brush really is the way to go for concealer as of lately. After buffing and blending out the side, I definitely want to do a side-by-side comparison, because there is a clear difference between both sides. I'm definitely preferring this side, and the concealer placement was just chef's kiss. I feel like it was very minimal, very strategic. It looks very airy and light, and that's exactly what you want whenever you are doing your makeup. So let's move on to makeup mistake number 2, and that is over powdering and over baking. Let me just tell you, baking is something that I left behind in my 20s. Once I hit 30, I was just like, immediately no, like this is something I cannot keep up with. It's something I can't do, because here's the thing, when you over powder underneath your eyes, especially in areas where you have fine lines and wrinkles, it just looks very dry, and it accentuates textures, and it just draws attention to everything. So what the girlies are doing these days is they are going in with a puff, and they are just applying an excessive amount of powder underneath the eye. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna bake with this, and you will see immediately why this is not the best move. This is just way too much powder. Let me just say, every time I bake underneath my eyes, it really just kind of, it sucks out all the moisture from underneath my eyes, and it just feels very tight and dry overall. But we're gonna let it sit there. We're gonna move on to the other side, but first I wanna make sure I have absolutely no creasing under here, because here's the thing, if you set your concealer creased, it's gonna stay creased all day. So I'm just gonna kind of tap it out, and then I'm gonna go in with more of like a fluffy brush like this. I wanna say that this one is from ColourPop. It's an F24. I'm gonna shake off the excess, and I'm gonna take a little bit of this powder, and I'm just gonna set my under eye area. By the way, I am using the Ultra Blur Talc-Free Setting Powder by Laura Mercier, which is one of my personal favorites. It's ultra blurring underneath my eyes, and it also is hydrating, but it's not hydrating when you apply this much. Like, this is way, way, way too much. Like, just apply a little bit to set that concealer in place, and you are good to go. This over here, I'm gonna kind of dust off. If you look up close and personal, this side here just looks a little drier than this side over here. And this is something we want to avoid at all costs. I feel like if you look dry and crusty, it will just age you a lot more, trust me. Go for the dewy luminous route. Now, overly powdering doesn't only apply to baking underneath the eyes. It also has a lot to do with face powder. So for face powder, I'm gonna go in with this by Makeup Forever on the right side, which is the makeup mistakes, because here's the thing, this is more of a powder foundation. You definitely don't want to apply something like this over top of an actual foundation that's heavy on top of heavy concealer, because it can look a little too much. So I'm going to take a generous amount of this and kind of just powder down this area of my face. At this point, I'm powdering down every area of my face that looks shiny. So I'm pretty much taking all the moisture out of my face. And on this side of my face, I am gonna powder it just a little bit, but I'm gonna go in with the Kosas Cloud Set Powder. This is a very fine powder. It doesn't add additional coverage. It really just helps to set everything down and in place. So I'm only gonna take a very light amount of this just to kind of powder down the shine. But this is gonna give me a really pretty, nice, and natural veil on the skin without making it look too heavy. Makeup mistake number 3 is harsh and heavy contouring, which I know goes against everything that we all know and love, because I feel like for years I really pushed contouring. I really wanted that sharp and chiseled out face. But here's the thing, when you start to get into your mid-30s, early 40s, it's something you really want to steer clear from, because it creates these shadows that make your face look very gaunt and just unsightly. Today, to demonstrate, I will be using the Sculpt and Shape Contour Palette by MAC. This is a palette I used to love, but here's the thing about this. The contour shades in this palette, they're way too cool for my skin tone. So going in with something like this just looks very deathly. And I'm gonna demonstrate. I'm gonna use a brush like this, and I'm just gonna pick up a contour shade, and I'm gonna go to town. I'm gonna apply it here. And one of the main reasons you want to stop doing this is because it really just drags down the face, especially when you are using a shade that is just too cool. I'm going to apply this also to my temples so that way you guys can see a clear difference between both sides. I am going to kick it up a notch, and I'm going to take my powder puff and I'm going to apply a little bit of that powder directly underneath of the contour just to create a really harsh and strong contour. So what you want to do instead of this is you want to opt for a more natural bronzing or contouring technique. For me personally, I feel like my face just looks a lot warmer and youthful and younger whenever I go in with a bronzer as opposed to a contour. So for that reason, I'm going to opt for a bronzer today. I'm going to use this duo, which also comes with a cream contour. You can definitely see that this is cooler, whereas the bronzing powder is a lot warmer. So I'm going to take a generous amount of it and I'm going to apply it a little bit above my cheekbone. I don't want to apply it too low because that is going to create a sunken in effect, and I really just want to bring some life and warmth back into my face. So I'm going to apply it a little higher up, and I'm also going to make sure this is really nice and blended and blown out. I'm also going to take some of that bronzing powder and I'm going to put it here on my eye, and this is just going to lift the eye up. Now in this case, I definitely feel like the same rules can apply to blush. You definitely don't want to apply something that is too heavy and harsh. I'm just going to use the Volume 4 palette by Juvia's Place, and I'm going to mix back and forth between the two. And for the harsh side, I'm just going to apply it a little heavier than I usually would, and I'm just going to follow that contour as well. One thing that you guys have to know is that I'm really not trying to make this side look bad at all. This is really just what it comes down to when you over apply certain products and things. It really just has more of an aging effect than anything. So with this blushing technique, I'm definitely trying to keep the blush a little bit higher up on my cheek here. So like right here in this area, this is gonna give you more of a youthful looking appearance, because if you look at the face, this side, the blush is kind of like way down here, whereas this side over here, the blush is a lot higher up on the face. And I feel like that is a key to youthful looking makeup. You wanna keep everything like super high up on the face. Makeup mistake number 4 is overdrawn and harshly filled in eyebrows. It's something I still struggle with till this day. I don't know what it is, just more times than not, I get carried away. So one thing that you don't want to do is just create something that is just very blocky and unruly and go in with a color that is way too dark for the brow. So I'm gonna follow my natural brow line here, but I am going to fill them in just a little darker than usual because I feel like this is what really, really ages you. By the way, I'm sure you guys didn't realize how curly my eyebrows are. Yeah, they're really curly when I don't lay them down and laminate them. That's why more times than not, you'll see my brows laminated before I start filming. But today, I really wanted to give you guys a full effect. For today's video, I'm gonna use the Brow Blade by Urban Decay. This one is in the shade Neutral Nana. So this is gonna be more of a neutral brow color. It's not even gonna be half as dark as this here. I like this one because I'm able to draw fine hair-like strokes with it, but then you flip it over and you have the brow pencil. So I'm gonna start off by creating a very fine line underneath my brow just to kind of shape it out a little bit. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking a clean spoolie and I'm lightly gonna feather out that line that I created underneath my brow. I feel like with the left side here, everything is just very nice, blown out and blended. There's really no harsh lines anywhere. And I feel like that's what's really gonna give you a really pretty, nice, youthful and younger looking appearance. Now I'm gonna go in with the Brow Blade and I'm just gonna start creating fine hair-like strokes with this. I feel like this gets a little difficult for me personally because as you can see, I have just very, very curly eyebrow hair. So I try my best, but when they're not laminated, they just become very unruly, but it's all right. I still feel like it does a really good job channeling that really pretty, like bushy brow. My next makeup mistake is going with heavy or dark colored eyeliner. Do you guys remember when we used to go in with black eyeliner, like a really heavy cat eye wing, or even the older generation, they'll go in with black liner on their lower lash line and upper lash line in like a circle. And the problem with that is it does create a smaller eye and it really accentuates lines and crow's feet, and all things like that. So you definitely want to stray away from that by any means. I'm going to show you guys a demonstration, and it's not going to be the prettiest, but this is just like what you want to avoid. So don't go in with a black eyeliner. Another thing that I see a lot that I feel like really ages you is applying black right down here to the lower lash line and connecting it together. Not gonna lie, you guys, this is a little extreme. I don't see many people going out like this. With the exception of the older generation, you'll often see, like, if you remove the wing, they'll put black on their upper lash line and lower lash line, and more times than not, it is tattooed on there. So just avoid black at all costs. It does make your eyes look very, very small, and it really just draws attention to lines and crow's feet and all of that. Instead, you wanna go in with some kind of brown eyeliner. Use anything other than black at this point. I'm gonna take this by Makeup Forever. This is one of the artist color pencils in the shade Limitless Brown. And I'm gonna take this. You guys saw me do this in a previous video. I use this as eyeliner. So I'm gonna go in and I am going to flick it out a little bit. And I do kind of create more of a silhouette, and then I'll go in with like a pencil brush, and then I start to smudge it out. There's definitely a common trend here. I feel like this side is just very, very soft and blown out. You really just don't want any harsh lines. This is so incredibly easy to do. Just go in, apply some of that brown, very messily. It doesn't have to be perfect. You really don't need to be a pro at makeup or anything like that to get a similar effect. Just put it on there and flick it up and out. Now you can even go as far as taking that brown eyeliner and smudging it onto the lower lash line, but a good rule of thumb is to not take it all the way in. You don't want to completely close off the eye. I think with this liner buff and blended out, it looks really pretty and fresh. It looks very open, and this is really what I've been into lately. I think applying mascara is a must no matter which side you're doing. You really just want to take this from root to tip. I think brown mascara would look really good too, but I only have black today, so we're opting for the black. And I kind of like to brush my lashes outwards. I wonder, do they make the Tower 28 mascara in brown? Let me know down below. The next makeup mistake is really neglecting the lips and not going in with the proper products to really help moisturize the lips and make them look really pretty, nice, and supple. Instead, I see a lot of people go in with liquid lipsticks. This one is by Kylie Cosmetics, and if you know anything about her liquid lip formula, then you probably know it is the driest on the market, okay? So I'm gonna take this all over. It's kind of crazy because I was actually looking at my lips in a previous video, and I'm like, why? Like, why are you doing that to yourself? My lips look so incredibly dry and crusty because here's the thing, when you go in with an all matte liquid lip formula, it really settles into all the fine lines, and it really just makes them look very crusty and old. I'm gonna demonstrate for you guys. I'm not entirely sure if you can tell with this formula, but it definitely settles into like all of the fine lines, and it looks just very dry and crusty. I feel like the longer you wear it too, the worse it looks. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the color, but I can't wear it all on its own anymore. I was actually watching some videos back and I realized it just didn't look the best on me personally, so I will have to pair it with, let's say, a Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serum by Makeup by Mario, just to bring a little bit of moisture back into it, because this really just ages the lips very quickly. I went ahead and took off that lip color because I really wanted to share with you guys another makeup mistake, and that is flesh tone lip colors. This is something I'm really guilty of. I used to do it so much in the past. I used to completely skip liner and apply a lip color that pretty much matched my skin tone. And the issue with that is that it makes you look very deathly and gaunt, and it doesn't look the best, and it ages you very, very quickly. So let me demonstrate. The lip color I'm gonna demonstrate with is Nude Cape by Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm just gonna put it right over. Now in this case, I have absolutely no lip liner, but I'm also going to apply this with a lip liner, and you will see that it also kind of makes me look a little, I don't know, it makes me look a little bare. Now I'm gonna take it and put it on this side here. You can see it's very flesh tone. It is really just blending in with my foundation color. So over here, I applied the Kylie lip liner, which is a little bit more of a deeper brown, and I paired it with Nude Kate. It has some definition and it definitely looks a lot better, but it's still just very flesh tone. And one thing that I have noticed is that when you opt for a lip color like this, it doesn't look the best. It really just ages you like no other, and that's something I've really noticed over the past few months. So to fix this, I am gonna go in with a little bit of this here. This is the Matte Beauty Blush Wand, which is technically a blush by Charlotte Tilbury. This one's in the shade Dream Pop, but you'll see just adding a little bit to my lips is just going to bring life back into them and make it look really pretty. Now I know what you're thinking, incorporating that blush color into my lips really changed the overall color, but that's exactly what I was going for. Because whenever I am trying to achieve a look that's very young and youthful, I'm looking to add that really pretty rosy glow to my face, to my cheeks, to my lips. So I'm really into this. I feel like the before and after, there's just like a night and day difference. Please take these makeup mistakes with a grain of salt. If there's anything that I mentioned in today's video that you do on a day-to-day basis that you love, by all means, keep doing it. This is just my way of exposing makeup mistakes that I used to do in my 20s that no longer look good on me now that I'm in my 30s. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you want to see more videos like this, let me know down below in the comments. And with that being said, I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and until next time, I'll be sure to catch you guys all on the next one. Deuces.